Oh, howdy all, grab yourself a drink. It is time for some PathOfExile discussion. Yesterday, Grinding Gear Games released the third balance manifesto for patch 3.20. That's got a whole bunch of information on changes to Eldritch altars that are coming in the patch. If you haven't watched my video on that or read GGG's original post, I'll put a link down in the description below. It's kind of a prerequisite for this video to make sense. This video is going to be a follow-up to that, looking at the FAQ that GGG put out today, which discusses some of the questions people had after reading that balance manifesto. The first thing was a request for a feature, a quality of life feature. Can we get the altar mods on the map mod UI? And the answer is yes, this will be in 3.20. The second one is a feature request / quality of life improvement that was not going to get the same answer. And that is, can you make altars more readable in the heat of combat? GGG say that they've discussed community feedback around this, considering options like instance pausing, color indicators, or reward symbols. And they've not found anything that they like, and as a result, they are not going to be implementing this in 3.20. That's unfortunate. I think that the instance pausing was something that was really good. Instance pausing with a limited timer would be the ideal in my opinion, so that it's less disruptive when it happens in uncontrolled environments. How common are Awakened Gems from the Maven? Now what's really being asked here is not how common are Awakened Gems from the Maven, it's how common are Awakened Gems from the Maven witnessed map bosses. And the answer here is when you kill a Maven herself, chances of getting an Awakened Gem is quite common. The drop chance from Maven witnessed map bosses is a lot lower than this because these fights occur more often. The goal is that they're common enough that it feels worthwhile running Maven witnessed maps, while not having Awakened Gems feel too common and significantly lowering their value. I really don't think there's a happy medium here. I don't think that GGG are going to find the right balance here, and I would suggest that some of the other items that come from the Maven that are not unique items, this is Elevated Sextants, this is Orbs of Conflict, I would suggest that they also be considered as potential drops here. The reason is that as a league becomes older and older, items that are not consumable in nature fall off in value pretty hard as the economy gets flooded with them. This is not a game where only a few hundred people are beating the top bosses anymore. It hasn't been for a long time. Tens of thousands of people have the Maven on farm by the end of week 2 of a trade league, or at least are capable of doing so if they want to. And this means that most of these drops, except for the very rarest ones or the very highest demand ones, will quickly become pretty much worthless. That's not the case though with consumable items, because the more of them that drop, the more demand there becomes for them. And that's why I think that Elevated Sextants and Orbs of Conflict should be considered to be added into this pool of drops, potentially at the cost of slightly fewer Awakened support gems. Anyways, that's just a suggestion. We'll see exactly what goes live in 3.20. How common are Rusted Scarabs in the core drop pool? Something that a lot of people don't know is that the website POE, which does a lot of data mining, has a page called Game Constants Drop Pool. Now this is what it looks like, and it's a whole lot of information that's been data mined from the game files as to how common it is to get various categories of items. And one thing you will notice if you go down this is that the drop weighting for heist coins is 8,000. This is being compared to a number of divination cards. We believe that Humility is 12,500 and that Last Hope is about 6,000. And that comes from empirical testing rather than from data mining. So Rusted Scarabs are going to be dropping slightly less commonly than Rogue's Markers, so probably somewhere in the 6,000 weighting range, which will be similar to the Divination card Last Hope, and about twice as rare as the Divination card Humility. But this is going to drop everywhere. I think this means you are going to find a lot of Rusted Scarabs in high-level gameplay in PathOfExile in the future. Now this is going to be on top of other sources of Scarabs, like Altars, Delirium, and Betrayal. Altars are being nerfed, but other sources aren't. And as a result, I think that this will be a very high point in the level of Scarabs that are available for players in the future. Why does currency drop in stacks of 1 now? So this change applies to rewards from influenced monsters. This is basically a nerf to one of the things that's becoming more common, and that is the altar that says drops map currency items. That is one that drops a huge amount of Awakened Sextants. It's one of the very best ones in the game right now, and it was looking like it was potentially going to be a lot better in 3.20, because of the removal of some of the bad mods from the altar upside pool. So that was going to be more common than it was in the past. And then GGG considered that it was probably going to drop too many Sextants and cause Sextants to stop being real loot. So they're going to drop in stacks of 1 instead. Altar rewards that say things like Map Boss drops 3 Val Orbs will still drop in a stack of 3, so 1 click for pickup. But when you get the altar that says X% chance for influence monsters to drop additional mapping currency, that will be dropping 1 Sextant or 1 Chisel instead of 3 Sextants or 4 Chisels. One of the goals of the altar changes from the outset was to retain the feel of altars such that the gameplay feels familiar, as we're pretty happy with how it feels to play. Part of remaining this means that we want the frequency of encountering Eldritch altars to be pretty common, And if we want to give you altars frequently, it means we're giving rewards out very frequently. So one of the things that balancing this is that they do have to make the stack sizes a bit smaller here. Most currency rewards from influence monsters already dropped in stacks of 1, but there are a few outliers, most notably map currency rewards. The outliers are generally the only thing that's changing here in terms of stack size. Are you nerfing heist and expedition rewards? There are no plans regarding this. This is quite interesting because expedition's extremely strong, people are running it whether they like the content or not. And heist in particular, low-level heist, is something that is one of the most lucrative things to do in the game. When your character's just sort of getting itself established, running level 67 heist is extremely, extremely strong. And this is something that doesn't seem to be likely to be nerfed for 3.20. So do keep that in mind when you're planning your league start plans. That's all I've got in terms of commentary on the Eldritch Altars FAQ. There is also some news on the Ruthless front. The Ruthless Alpha non-disclosure agreement has been modified and made much more lenient. People still can't post their gameplay footage if they were in the Ruthless Alpha, but there's a lot of online discussion, which I'll put a link to down in the description below. If you're interested in finding out some more on people's first impressions of Ruthless, I'll be able to give you mine when the next round of Ruthless Alpha starts, and that should be in a couple of days' time. May your Varlobs have interesting results.